playing online blackjack and want to try upping your odds? Well, here's a tip. Cheat cards tell you statistics for whether you hit or stand on every move. If you're into stats, this could be your ticket to winning. And it is totally legal. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The Giants are probably going to open up 1-5 on the season. So then you start to say the fans are getting angry. They just want to see Dart. The ownership's like, hey, you know what? Maybe we make the right move with Russ here. But then you have self-preservation mode with the general manager and the head coach where it almost seems like it's inevitable. Midway through the season, it's going to have to be Jackson Dart. Otherwise, what are we doing, Giants?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
It should be illegal for Scottie Scheffler to play on the PGA Tour. This guy can't be stopped. Another victory at the BMW Championship. He has a chip on the 17th, which will go down in the history books. 82 feet, landed 60 feet short, and then rolled the rest of the way. Super exciting win again for Scheffler, who is not only the best golfer in the world, he's becoming one of the best golfers of all time.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
It doesn't matter that they're early in the game, late in the game, they're trailing, they're leading. It doesn't matter, garbage time. CeeDee Lamb is the guy, and we saw that even after Dak got hurt last year and Cooper Rush was under center. Targets were going to CeeDee Lamb. And when you can get 9, 10, 12, 15 targets on a game-by-game basis, he's going to rack up fantasy points every single week. Frankly, he underperformed last year.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Time to rise and grind on the early line. It is a Monday, and that means new week, new money as we set the course for this week and your Sports Grid day. Because why? The NFL is getting closer and closer to its opening kickoff. We just had week 0 in college football. How exciting was it? Well, how exciting were your tickets? Did you win some money? That's what we're talking about. Major League Baseball this weekend. Separation times here late August as we head into the final month of the season, and a lot more fun ready to go. This is the Early Line. I'm Donnie Rightside. He's Joe Ranieri, and we're going to take you on that task over the next 2 hours. Joe, the energy is high. Are you ready to go?
I am ready for football every Saturday and Sunday from this point forward, Donnie. It is that time of year. It's what we've been yelling for, and now it's finally here. I can't wait.
Now, how did you enjoy your opening weekend here in week 0? We had a nice college football show, both myself and Joe and Joe Lisi. But as I watched the football, again, it just gets back to when I get excited for preseason football because it's football back in our lives. Then I turn it on and be like, can we get the good teams out here, please? Can we not play overseas on an ice skating rink to open the season? Did you get into those vibes, or were you just happy that college football was back?
Watching that game, it was a quick reminder in Dublin of everything that I love about college football and everything I hate about college football. It was all right there in Dublin.
It certainly was, but we opened it up. Football's here, big-time battles in week number 1, which we'll get you ready for all week long right here on the Early Line. But let's get to the hottest topics across the sports landscape, Joe. That's the 7-7, and that means Carson Wentz on the move here, different teams. Sam Howell heads to Philadelphia. You might ask, why is Sam Howell going to Philadelphia? Tanner McKee, the backup quarterback, banged up a little bit, Joe. They don't want to go into that first game and say, well, Kyle McCord is our backup just in case something goes wrong. They get Sam Howell for a little veteran presence in the locker room in Philadelphia behind Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, and he's only 25 years old. I mean, it's not like there were a lot of thumbs up for Sam Howell when he was getting destroyed in Washington. But it's clear that the Eagles feel like that room needs to be solidified here with the injury to Tanner McKee. But I don't know what the Vikings are doing. Like, why Carson? You could have picked Carson Wentz up 2 months ago. For a song and a dance, and at least had him in camp. So, like, I don't even know. I don't know what they're doing, but great move for the Eagles, and not the only move, apparently, they are making here over the last 24 hours.
Unhappy players in Washington, Joe. And what did that mean? Well, hey, Terry McLaurin, is he back in camp yet? No, he's not. But Brian Robinson's not back in camp either. He got shipped out to the San Francisco 49ers, who I think every single person on their team is injured in the preseason so far. He'll add some stability to that backfield because we don't know how long CMC is going to last. B-Rob out to the West Coast now.
Love it. Love the move for the 49ers. It was clear that, he was just going to be odd man out, and they had no interest in paying him because there is a contract on a horizon for him and another team. But the 49ers, great move. They got enough injuries with the wide receiver, solidifying and making sure you've got a couple of guys that can run the ball. Good move by the 49ers.
Yeah, Brian Robinson looked like he was going to be that bell cow for Washington for years to come. Just fell out of favor in that lineup. Other guys, younger players taking his spot here. That's the life of the NFL, and particularly running back. It's hard to find a home for a long time. He's out in San Francisco, which I do think he can do some pretty good things there. We'll keep it moving down the list. In Major League Baseball, the Philadelphia Phillies had a nice win yesterday over the Washington Nationals, winning that series as well, but losing maybe a battle here. Zach Wheeler, thoracic outlet surgery, out 6 to 8 months. The hope was blood clot in the shoulder, clear up hopefully by playoff time, get him back. That's not going to be the case. We won't see Zach Wheeler, if at all, until next spring training, Joe.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate. It really is. I mean, he's 36 years old, Donnie. Now he's got to be on the shelf for 6 to 8 months. The good news is Nola looked really good. Ranger Suarez looked pretty good again this weekend. So maybe they got enough to keep to make a run at this without him, but kind of hard to replace your ace of the staff at this point in the season.
Yeah, it is. You're taking a look here at the New York Mets that are just in complete free fall. Now, the Phillies and the Mets are going to start a series tonight. Christopher Sanchez will be on the mound going up against Kodai Senga. We'll take a look at that game a little bit later, but not good things for the Phillies and hoping to win a championship. It's not about just making the playoffs and beating the Mets in the regular season. We'll see how it turns out for the fight in Phils. How about this? Yankees, congratulations. You actually won a game against the Boston Red Sox this season, which has been certainly hard to come by. A 7-2 victory last night in the Bronx, multiple home runs, which included 4 from the New York Yankees, 2 of those home runs by Grisham, and 2 of those home runs by Jazz Chisholm. The long ball saved the Yanks and salvaged the series.
Well, shocker. And they didn't throw the ball into the stands at all. Oh, that's right, because Volpe didn't start. Oh, that go figure there. But yes, listen, the Yankees are never going to beat you playing small ball or fundamental baseball, but they are going to outpower you every chance they get. And that's exactly what they did. But big start by Rodon, the ace of the staff. They needed that last night. It's exactly what they got.
Big start, big middle of the year, big finish to the year. That's Cal Raleigh, the big dumper. Hit 48 and 49 yesterday against the Athletics to set a Major League Baseball record for catchers. Cal Raleigh, he's going to hit, couldn't he get to 60, Joe? My goodness.
I mean, that's pretty elite company that he is in there with those names, with Johnny Bench and Piazza and company. But the reality is how crazy he's even doing it as a switch hitter. Not only as the main catcher, but as a switch hitter as well, Donnie. This guy is a total freak. And where did he come from is my question.
I don't know. The big dumper is carrying baseballs. I just want to see the Mariners get into the postseason. I need to see the big dumper and all the boys there getting after it. Maybe they can do that. And Cal Raleigh, certainly with 2 more home runs, 1 away now from 50 home runs as an everyday catcher. That's pretty impressive at this point. Let's take a look at the PGA Tour. For me, I wear it as a badge of honor. I didn't watch a single stroke of anything in the Tour Championship or any of these tournaments leading up to it. I couldn't care less. End the PGA season after the final major. We'll see you in the Ryder Cup. What a waste of time and a complete bore in the DRS household. Didn't watch one stroke over the past couple weeks, Joe. How about you?
Well, I'll fill you in on it, Donnie, because it was the golfing gods with a very sick sense of humor, allowing Tommy Fleetwood to lead a tournament on a Sunday again, only for all of us just to wait for the wheels to fall off. Only this time, he waited till the last tournament of the year to actually pull out and get his first PGA Tour win. You can't make it up. Kudos to him, but he was never really under any pressure yesterday.
Made for TV events to give millionaires more money. Joe, here's what I would like better. Like, forget about the golf clubs. Just put these players in. Like, do you ever go to like a theme park? It's like, hey, pay $1, go into this, and all the dollar bills spin around you like in a tornado. Try to grab as many as you can. Should have just did that with Tommy Fleetwood and all the boys. Like, hey, here's $20 million. We're going to put it in a big vacuum here and play. I actually would have watched that as opposed to golf that absolutely means nothing. Understand this. Majors are what you play for. Jack Nicklaus, Tiger Woods, the top of the heap here. Don't give a damn about the Tour Championship. In 5 years, you're never going to remember Tommy Fleetwood won anything at any Tour Championship. Hey, PGA, get it together. This golf tournament stunk out loud. Let's get to something that was really good here. The Kansas State game might have put you to sleep over the weekend, but how about a father and a son trying to put each other to sleep, Joe Ranieri, after the game? Avery Johnson's father and his brother duking it out in Dublin.
Older brother being beat up by the old man in the parking lot in Dublin after their youngest son and younger brother gets loses the game. By the way, he didn't lose anything. Avery Johnson was fantastic. But the problem is very sloppy football, 4 fumbles in that game. And quite honestly, Kansas State is lucky it was that close. It should have been a much closer to a blowout than anything else. But you got to get it together. When the quarterback's father and older brother have to release statements about how sorry they are about a fight in the parking lot, like come on, let's get it together here.
Like, what did they even fight over at that point? Did the dad lose a bet? Like, you know what I mean? So hey, I told you we weren't going to win that game. Shut your mouth, son. Bing, bang, boom, bing. Too many beers in Dublin at this point. Just a tough look. Maybe if you won the football game, it would have been okay. But the fact that K-State went that far away from home to lose a game in Dublin, why we're in Dublin, I have no idea. But now the dad and the brothers are fighting. Madness out here in the streets. Let's get to some NFL talk next. Bad weekend for the Sanders brothers. Come on back to find out more.
Oof.
Time on a casino floor and feeling a little overwhelmed? Well, here's a tip. Lots of machines have a free demo mode you can try for practice. So give those slots a spin in practice mode before you start putting down some real cash. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
If the Golden State Valkyries make the playoffs, and right now, at 18-17, they're one game ahead of the loss column versus Seattle and the Spartans. If they make the playoffs, you must, and I mean must, give their coach head coach of the year in the WNBA.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
And let me tell you, Gabe, very similar to the Bills and the way they lose to the Chiefs with that play. It took Canadian Nick Taylor to hit a 90-foot bomb to win the Canadian Open. So let's talk about the heartbreaking fashion. It's not like Tommy Fleetwood. Sure, he's given a few away, but he's also had many stolen from him in miraculous, crazy fashion.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid. This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay. I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
We made it here. And this is the early line. It's hour number 1. It's new week, new money. We're setting the table for the NFL season, but we do have to look back, Joe Raniere, on what happened over this past weekend, because there still are battles that need to be won on the field and players trying to make their teams. One of those teams that we're looking at is the Cleveland Browns, because the question marks come around them is not necessarily who's going to start opening day. We've been told it's Joe Flacco. The question is, will they keep 4 quarterbacks? They keep telling us we're going to keep 4 quarterbacks, and that's the way it's going to be. You ask Shedeur Sanders, like, come on, man. I should be quarterback number 1. Why ask me if I'm even going to make this team? That should be fun to see it play out. And also some of the betting opportunities that you might have in the preseason. Joe, remember last week we were talking about that Giants game. Like, you know what, man? We're going to get 4 giant quarterbacks here that are probably going to sling the football. They threw 5 combined touchdown passes. I did the same thing here in this Cleveland Browns game where I said, all right, if I'm going to get Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, Joe Flacco, and maybe another quarterback there, which ended up being Tyler Huntley, I do think I'm getting at least 2 touchdown passes like I thought in the Giants game. Case in point, Flacco touchdown pass, Dylan Gabriel touchdown pass. That number cashed, but all eyes were on Shedeur Sanders. 3 of 6, 14 yards, not a lot of opportunities, but 5 sacks taken. And here's the key. Sometimes you just can't avoid sacks when your offensive line is bad. But we do have Joe Raniere in the past watching Shedeur Sanders at Colorado take a lot of sacks maybe he didn't need to take here. Not a good performance for Sanders in that final preseason game.
No, it wasn't good at all, but you think he would have been used to that, to your point, Donnie, playing in Colorado where all he was doing was running around for his life anyway. But the reality is, listen, Flacco comes out and now, okay, first time we get to see him, and he looks very much the part with the starters there, right? Comes in there, goes, 9 of 10, gets the touchdown off the field. Here comes Dylan Gabriel, who looks also very much the part, right? Doesn't turn the ball over, completes a bunch of passes. And then we get to the second half, and Shedeur comes in and looks like, after watching those 2 guys in the first half and then watching him in the third and fourth quarter, only to get pulled when they were actually in the red zone for Huntley, it was just absolutely priceless there. So not good. I don't know how much you take away or how much that was really going to matter in the scope of things, because I think Pickett's going to land on the IR anyway. And so this way, they're probably going to have 3 quarterbacks, both rookies and Flacco anyway, and then they'll figure out what to do Pickett as the season progresses.
Yeah, Dylan Gabriel, 12 of 19 for $129 and a touchdown, a passer rating of 100. So he certainly showed his mettle of why he maybe should have been a first draft pick over Shedeur Sanders. But there are some players on the Rams that played in this game. Like week 3 of the preseason is basically meaningless to most teams. Dresser Wynn started a quarterback. I never heard of that guy. The Rams had Jordan Walters, Brennan Presley, Jarquez Hunter, Cody Schrader, and Dresser Wynn, each with rushing attempts. I never heard of any of those guys here. So it's almost like 19-17 final. Hey, congratulations. But my goodness, like LA just said, we are putting everybody in bubble wrap CU in the regular season, Joe.
Yeah, well, and once the good news was, I think, during the week when they had Stafford out there practicing and McVay was like, all right, it looks, we're okay here. I think at that point, the third preseason game was about, all right, so who's making the practice squad? Which were you guys? All about depth there with him, which is typical McVay anyway. But had Stafford not practiced and there were more question marks, we might have seen a little different rotation there in that third preseason game to solidify everything.
Talking about rotations here in football, which is that quarterback room. How about the New York Giants? Now, Russell Wilson is going to be the starter, but my goodness, Jackson Dart had a very good preseason here. Maybe sooner than later should be the mantra here on Dart getting to quarterback the New York Giants.
The Giants are doing exactly what the Colts should have done. Yes, he looks the part. He's great, but he's on the bench to start the season. The whole reason we went out and got Russell Wilson was so that we didn't force this kid in the New York market to have to run out there right away and be the face of the franchise. That will come, but this is exactly what it should have been in Indy with Richardson. I think they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do, because you and I both agree at some point they're going to need to go to the bullpen. It's going to be Jackson Dart, and that could be the end of Russell Wilson as a New York Giant.
But how about this? I don't think we're seeing the end of Cam Ward anytime soon. The number 1 overall pick, he's set to take the stage here, and that's going to be up against the Denver Broncos on the road Sunday, September 7th at 4:05 Eastern here. Cam Ward's ready to go. We'll see what that actually means, though. rookie quarterbacks in the NFL early in their careers, usually not money makers for bettors here, Joe.
No, but it's going to be a process. There's one thing we know for sure: the guy's got an absolute cannon. He does have some guys to be able to throw the ball to there. If they can have any established running game, I think they'll be fine. I don't understand the hype for Denver, but I think Cam Ward will be absolutely fine simply because even if they're getting killed, there's going to be a handful of plays in every game where this guy just absolutely uncorks it, Donnie. And everyone's going to be like, oh, my God, did you see that throw? That's what Cam Ward is. It's going to be a learning process for him.
Take a look at the offensive rookie of the year numbers here. Ashton Ginty plus 250 price, Cam Ward 300 price, and then Hampton at 9-1, Hunter at 10-1, and away we go there. We'll find out week number 1. Those lines will change certainly. If you have a good performance by Ward, good performance by Ginty, you get the picture. Violent line swings in September for those rookie of the year odds here. But let's also take a look at some players that didn't play in the preseason, and it's the quarterback edition. Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, Jared Goff, Dak Prescott, Baker Mayfield, Matthew Stafford, and Michael Penix getting treated like he's done a lot in the NFL, Joe. How do you feel about Penix not getting any action in the preseason?
Well, that's one of those lists where it tells the one thing that doesn't belong, and that would be the name of Michael Penix on that list, not taking a snap in the preseason because he was just so unbelievable last year when Atlanta brought him in. Like, give me a break. The one thing young quarterbacks need are reps. And if you played your starting offensive lineman in any game and didn't play him, it better be because he's hurt. Otherwise, I don't know what they're doing in Atlanta at this point. By the way, can Ginty play quarterback? Because I don't know how you lose your backup quarterback to a fractured wrist in the third preseason game if you are the Raiders. But I guess maybe just let Ginty play quarterback then.
Exactly. Have a little wildcat formation the entire way, Joe Ranieri. That can get you into the playoffs at that point. You know who else is going to make the playoffs? Kansas City. And Patrick Mahomes, he was playing in week 3 of the preseason.
First time on a casino floor and feeling a little overwhelmed? Well, here's a tip. Lots of machines have a free demo mode you can try for practice. So give those slots a spin in practice mode before you start putting down some real cash. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
If the Golden State Valkyries make the playoffs, and right now at 18-17, they're one game ahead of the loss column versus Seattle and the Sparks. If they make the playoffs, you must, and I mean must, give their coach head coach of the year in the WNBA.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
And let me tell you, Gabe, very similar to the Bills and the way they lose to the Chiefs with that play. It took Canadian Nick Taylor to hit a 90-foot bomb to win the Canadian Open. So let's talk about the heartbreaking fashion. It's not like Tommy Fleetwood. Sure, he's given a few away, but he's also had many stolen from him in miraculous, crazy fashion.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid. This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay. I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
Getting caught up this weekend in NFL action. That's what we do in the early line. It's Joe Ranieri and it's Donnie Wrights out here rocking and rolling. The Chicago Bears did pick up a victory over the Kansas City Chiefs 29-27, which, by the way, saw Tyson Bagent sign that contract, then go 20 of 28 for 3 tutties out here. Do we have a quarterback controversy, Bagent versus Williams? But that's not what we're talking about right now. It's Patrick Mahomes. Why are you talking about Patrick Mahomes, Donnie? We just showed a list there of a lot of quarterbacks that were bubble wrapped in preseason. Not Patrick Mahomes. 8 of 13 for a touchdown in that game for the Kansas City Chiefs. Big Red told you he was going to play starters, and he did play his starters, which included Mahomes.
And they did exactly what you would expect them to do at Arrowhead, Donnie. They just moved the ball up and down the field offensively. So, kudos to the Chiefs now, who have been doing this long enough and understand that, they're not going to start slow. They're going to come out, and they're going to come out firing this season. So you can pick Denver all you want, but until I see it, it's still the Kansas City Chiefs division to win.
Yeah, there you go, man. Andy Reid saying, hey, I'm going to take a page out of that Cincinnati playbook right now, play some starters here and get them going because we're a week and a half away from the season. They look good there. They had a good first half. And the second half really was owned by Chicago, including 19 unanswered, which that game was right in the balance of the spread down the stretch. Something that at least you like to see in the preseason, get a little energy in a higher scoring game. But I'll tell you what you don't want to see in the preseason, Joe, is backup quarterbacks, starting quarterbacks, third string quarterbacks, any quarterbacks that you figure might help you out in the season getting injured. That's Aiden O'Connell of the Vegas Raiders. Fractured wrist. Uh-oh. Now it's Geno Smith and it's Cam Miller. How about that?
Yeah, kid out of North Dakota State, the rookie. Kudos. I don't know why Cam Miller wasn't the one starting to play in that whole game, much like the Rams did with something called a win. But the reality is now, to me, Aiden O'Connell was the perfect backup for the situation that Pete Carroll and company have there, because Geno Smith at some point is going to turn into a pumpkin, and we all know it. You would have had a legit backup to go to, but now you don't have that. So now you're going to throw a rookie from North Dakota State into the mix who's going to be way above his pay grade here.
How about Bo Nix, 10 of 14 there for a touchdown pass, and also taking a look at Cortland Sutton, 4 for 83 and a touchdown. The Denver Broncos pick up the victory over the New Orleans Saints over the weekend, which also saw Tyler Shuck out there, 12 of 20 for a $102. And I believe Shuck, yes, he did run in a touchdown, 2 carries for 20 yards. But the Denver Broncos finished their preseason perfect at 3-0. Could this be a springboard to something special there for the Denver Broncos?
Listen, I like Bo Nix. I think he's in the right situation with the right head coach at the right time. But my goodness, it's still a very tough division. And we all know who the kings of that division are. Mm-hmm. It's the defense of Denver, once again, that everyone seems to be high upon. So if they can improve from what they were a year ago, well, then maybe, just maybe, they can handle Mahomes and company.
How about this one? Take a look at running backs across the NFL. What is the things that we usually talk about? Yeah, they got great moves, but others, Joe, great vision out there. See the next steps, 2 steps ahead of time here. Are we going to get that from Najee Harris? Says he's feeling great here, but is the vision impaired or not, Joe?
I have no, I mean, the whole injury on the 4th of July was just a little bit head scratching to begin with, but here we are now with him expected to play in week 1. And again, good news is in that system with Harbaugh, he's going to get everybody involved, especially if you're a running back, and we know that. So we'll find out rather quickly if he actually sees the blocker that he has to block coming from the blind side. We're going to see that rather quickly, I think.
How about a couple of rookies here? The Lions do have a rookie wide receiver. Boy, they have a plethora of talent all across the board on offense. But Isaac Tisla, I remember him coming into the draft where he was an intriguing opportunity at wide receiver. Looks like he's filling in nicely as a young pup there on Detroit's team.
Yeah, it always seems like they get these young receivers, right, that are absolute studs. But again, the question mark is, what kind of offense are we getting from Detroit now? Because the OCs are totally different here. So we'll see if they can utilize them.
Oh, we certainly will. How about this? And understand this. Shiloh Sanders was an undrafted rookie free agent. He's not going to make the team out of camp. He might come back as a rookie on the practice squad. But I love the fact that people are like, man, you can't cut the guy because you threw a punch. Let me understand this. If Baker Mayfield was in that same football game and threw a punch, would he have gotten suspended or thrown out or cut by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? No. How about Chris Godwin? How about Mike Evans? How about Bucky Irvin? Nope. He just isn't that good right now, and he still has some time to learn because I don't think he's going to be out of the league. I think he'll be back, but he got cut and he got ejected.
I don't know which Sanders had a worst weekend here, Shiloh or his brother Shador, because they were both equally as bad. Not good.
Yeah, not good at all. I don't know which was worse, the golf this weekend or week 0 in football. But week 1 is here to absolutely save the day. Thank goodness. Let's review week 0. Ugh.
This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay.
I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
He played with Bobby Mack, literally had a nervous breakdown the entire round, and by the time they got to the 4th hole, he was losing by a stroke. It was, you think Tommy Fleetwood's a train wreck. You should have seen what this poor guy went through yesterday playing with him.
Yeah, you know what I want to say in this too? Like, the winner gets the entire pot of earnings.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Paige Beckers. She does it night in, night out. She's been absolutely fantastic for a Dallas Wings team that really isn't going anywhere. We'll see what happens in regards to where they're going to end up in the WNBA draft, because obviously, if they win it, they're probably looking at our buddy, AZ Fudd, to be drafted next year.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Were you excited this weekend, people? Week 0, the records actually start to count, which is a good thing, but the questionable part about week 0 is he didn't really give us all that much. Yes, he gave us Iowa State and Kansas State. And let me get this straight. I don't think I'm ever going to talk about Iowa State or Kansas State for the rest of the season itself here, Joe. But it was nice just to see ranked versus ranked football on an ice skating rink over in Dublin. And we got a 24-21 final. It was an entertaining game once it got started. The first half was dismal at this point. And I even saw the complaints on Twitter and social media. Did they even paint the field? Like, you couldn't see what the 10-yard line was. And by the way, that last touchdown, which I didn't see live, watch it on replay, I actually thought the 10-yard line said 30-yard line. So I'm like, what's the big deal on this? Why were they reviewing it? That was a touchdown, by the way, that had a lot of onlookers going, is that an over or is that an under? But the one thing we do know is Iowa State was a victor 24-21 on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, that game, I think, closed around 50, and they had left a lot of points out on that field there, namely the fumbling all over the place early in the game was crazy, including Iowa State fumbling on a handoff on the 2-yard line of Kansas State in the first quarter. That wasn't good. And then, of course, the overturning touchdown there late in the end on a 4th and 3. And I got to give Matt Campbell and Iowa State credit. The fact that it was 4th and 3, the kicker, by the way, they have is amazing. This kid would have easily nailed that field goal to go up and make them score a touchdown. But instead, they went for the win, and they got it. And I thought for sure they might have actually handed it off to punch it in just to make sure. But the whole kneel down thing on the half-yard line, Listen, Iowa State, it's a big win as an outright underdog. The first game of the year, they pull it off against Kansas State. It's a long season, but you got to be excited if you're both of these programs because both quarterbacks showed up big time in those games. I think that's going to be the interesting part moving forward with these two teams.
Yeah, now let me check this because I'm going back to last year, November 30th, 2024. I do see I believe Iowa State was the home team last year. So this was a Kansas State home game that they decided to play in Ireland at this point. So congratulations. You probably made a little bit more money, but understand this. What would have been better for your football program, Kansas State, if you were at home in the Little Apple with all of your fan base there as a home field advantage? And if you were playing, I believe, on turf there, maybe it would have been a little bit better for your rushing quarterback as well. Food for thought. Money's not always a great thing here. So they took a home game, turned it into a road game, basically, and lost the football game. And also, Joe, the dads and the brothers fighting after the game here. We should have got more shots from the parking lot. Must have been a lot more rumbles out there if all that beer was flowing.
That whole scenario is just mind-numbing here as Avery Johnson, the quarterback for Kansas State, I mean, he left it all out on the field. There really wasn't a whole lot more that he could have done. He literally, with his arm, was the one who carried that team to even give him a shot to win it in that game. And how is he rewarded? By having to answer questions about why is your older brother and father on the ground in the parking lot beating each other? Like, what is going on here? So not a great start to the season in a lot of ways for Kansas State.
Not a great start here for the Stanford Cardinal either. Joe had an early lead in that game against the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors, and as we saw the game go through, Hawaii was the better team, 23-20. Ben Goldbranson, 15 of 30 for 109 yards and an interception. Congratulations, Frank Reich, on that offensive machine that you have there. Micah Alejado, 27 of 39, but underwhelming. 210 yards passing. Thought that probably would be a little bit more. 2 touchdown passes and a QBR rating of a 49.5. Not a great game, but the Rainbow Warriors come away with a victory.
Well, it was the great unknown because Stanford is in shambles. They don't have, and there was nobody returning on that team. That is a completely new group of football players with a new head coach and kind of the program starting from scratch. So the fact that they played as well as they did and by the way, not an easy place to play. You got to travel to Hawaii. I mean, that is a home field advantage for sure for the Rainbow. But who thought? I wouldn't have thought they would have scored, 20 points. You got to be kidding me. But maybe not all is lost for Stanford this year. But who knew what we were going to get in that game, Donnie?
Like, you go to Hawaii, right? And if you're Stanford, if you win the game, is that one of those, like, you're like, hey, everybody in the pros, like Andy Reid would be like, all right, won't see you till Wednesday. Yeah, big cheer because you get off Monday and Tuesday during the week. Do you think if they would have won, like Stanford got like an extra day out there, a little diamond head action, maybe go over to Maui at that point? Or the fact that they lost, it was just a business trip and like, you know what? You guys don't deserve this. We're going home immediately after this.
Well, not for nothing. They had a chance. They could have won that game. They should have won that game. Could've. So now maybe it fuels them moving forward. But, I mean, Stanford, there's a lot of traveling involved. That was just one game to Hawaii. So now that they play in the ACC, Donnie, they got a lot of trips to take this season here. So it's going to be a long season. But the good news is it doesn't look like the program is complete in utter shambles. It looks like it's at least heading in the right direction.
Yeah, you know what I like even more about this too is like, yes, a team in California is in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. It's not supposed to make sense. You know what else isn't supposed to make sense here? E.J. Warner, a 2-time transfer, now showing up at Fresno State to play quarterback. And they lost that game 31-7. Kansas, the better team. Jalen Daniels, 18 of 20, by the way, super efficient with 3 touchdown passes and a QBR rating of 87. They put away Fresno State. Kansas shows up here if Kansas State couldn't on opening day.
Yeah, a new regime there at Fresno State. Warner played for some football. It just feels like everywhere he's ever been, he's been getting absolutely destroyed here. And that offensive line didn't do him any favors with Fresno State. It was Kansas from the opening get-go, a home game, new stadium, and they very much looked the part. But I am not buying the fact that Kansas is somehow going to be a 9-10 win team this year. Only if they keep playing Fresno State, I'm guessing.
Yeah, there you go. I'll tell you who's a little bit in trouble. I was looking for buyouts and saying, like, I wonder what this guy's contract is. Dan Mullen down 10-0 at the end of the first quarter to Idaho State. Some people said, you know what? I got some high expectations here for this Dan Mullen offense. Yes, they put up 38 points. They only won by 7. They were favored by, I believe, 30-plus points in this game with a total of 65.5, which went way over because thank you to Idaho State, Cook was 30 of 50 for 380 yards and a touchdown for Idaho State here. Putting up a fight, the Bengals.
That was hilarious, that game. The whole way it unfolded, It was 10-0 Idaho State before you blinked an eye, and you're like, wait a minute. Were they laying 30 points in this game, Mullen and the running Rebels? The running Rebels were running the wrong way, Donnie, for most of that game. And the fact that they somehow escaped with a win as a 30-point favorite, that should be a little eye-opening to Coach Mullen and UNLV here.
Yeah, I'll tell you what's not too eye-opening right now. Freshman Bryce Underwood will start week 1 for the Michigan Wolverines. I think he actually makes more than Jalen Hurts and, Lamar Jackson at this point to go to Michigan, doesn't he? What's his contract looking like?
I would hope he was the top recruit this year out of high school. He's a 5-star quarterback, the number 1 kid that everybody wanted, and he chose Michigan. I'm certainly hoping he's starting here because that is the future of Michigan right there. Didn't make any sense to bring him in and sit him as a 5-star and the number 1 recruit. So Michigan will have him under center, and we'll see exactly what that looks like.
Yeah, it should look pretty easy because these are one of my favorites, right? The total's 50.5, but Michigan is favored by 36.5. You do the math. It's going to be a runaway easy victory here for Michigan there, but it is good to see the young freshmen out there get that burn for the first time because we will make indications, if we think he's going to be good or not from his first 2 passes, Joe.
Yeah, it's going to be a bloodbath. Let's not miss that. I mean, Michigan is not going to lose to the likes of New Mexico, but we're going to learn a little something in the first couple of weeks. You're right. Idaho State is a good example, but Michigan is not UNLV. So I think even the third stringers will blow out New Mexico on Michigan.
Remember, we saw App State go into the big house, Joe. Raised some cane there early in the season. You just never know. Let's get to the Major League Baseball diamond next, right here on the early line.
This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay. I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
He played with Bobby Mack, literally had a nervous breakdown the entire round, and by the time they got to the 4th hole, he was losing by a stroke. You think Tommy Fleetwood's a train wreck. You should have seen what this poor guy went through yesterday playing with him.
Yeah, you know what I want to say in this too? Like, the winner gets the entire pot of earnings.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Paige Beckers. She does it night in, night out. She's been absolutely fantastic for a Dallas Wings team that really isn't going anywhere. We'll see what happens in regards to where they're going to end up in the WNBA draft, because obviously, if they win it, they're probably looking at her buddy, AZ Fudd, to be drafted next year.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Dominating efforts in Major League Baseball. Every fifth day, we usually get that from Paul Skeens. And we got that, Joe Ranieri, over the weekend once again yesterday on Sunday. The Pittsburgh Pirates 4, the Colorado Rockies 0. And that meant Paul Skeens, 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, 0 earned runs, 7 strikeouts, no walks, a clean performance against a struggling Rockies team away from Colorado. We get that. Whenever Paul Skeens is on the mound, you feel like it's a victory for Pittsburgh. Anybody else takes the mound for Pittsburgh, it feels like it's a loss. That's how good this kid is. He is going to win the Cy Young here in the National League, and another great performance. Every good performance down the stretch closes that door on somebody else trying to sneak in and take that Cy Young away from Paul Skeens.
Listen, it's not a matter of whether or not he's going to give his team a chance to win a game. It's whether or not they can score enough runs to get him that win. And unfortunately, Johnny, many times this year, they have not scored enough runs no matter what happens. So if he doesn't shut them out, they tend not to win the games. But big time effort there. Pittsburgh all of a sudden found a team that, well, they have no problem scoring against and beating, whether Skeens pitches or not, in the Rockies. But big effort by him. And was there any, I don't think he needs to pitch another inning this year, and the award is his.
Let me ask you this question, too, because the graphic Major League Baseball put out there, which is really impressive. Lowest ERA through first 50 career starts in the live ball era, which started in 1920. Vida Blue, 2.01. Paul Skeens, 2.02. He's phenomenal. Now, also understand this. Like, he's an athlete. He certainly wants to win baseball games. He wants to win every game he takes place. But it's kind of crazy where, you understand from like a quarterback perspective, a great goaltender, like your goal is like, yeah, I want to really perform at the highest level, but I want a chance to win things. Like, what's the psyche for Paul Skeens? And understand this. If he stays in Pittsburgh and they just keep him under wraps for all those years of arbitration, he's never going to win. What is fulfilling for a professional athlete? Because you want money, yes. You want to excel as an individual. But it is a team sport. Like, you want the adulation of, yeah, like, we're fighting for the playoffs, Joe. We can win a round or two. I can get to my first World Series. He's never going to sniff the playoffs ever in Pittsburgh. That's tough to deal with as the best pitcher in your league.
A la Garrett Cole coming up. I mean, Pittsburgh has had their share of quality front-end starters over the years that played their first 3-4 years. Then the minute that, contract talk has to come up, they basically push themselves out of there because there won't be any investment into the future. So enjoy Skeens while you can, Pittsburgh. We've already seen this movie, and we know how it ends. It ends with him having a Hall of Fame career and wearing somebody else's uniform when you had him first.
Like, I mean, spend money to make money is a very good adage in the business, landscape. That is an organization with a very proud town that loves its sports. And they love the Pittsburgh Pirates in the past. Like, the Pirates had some really good runs here. Now, they haven't won a World Series since, the late 1970s? But those early 1990s, the Van Slyke, the Bonilla, the Bonds years, the Drayback on the mounds, like, those teams were really good, and they got behind them. Like, if you said next year, let's go into the offseason with Paul Skeens. Hey, watch this. I'm going to pick up 4 or 5 bats. I'm going to fortify that bullpen. We have some young arms coming up, but we're going to mount it with Paul Skeens. Hey, we're actually going to make a run at this thing. Not for a World Series, but to be competitive enough to make it into the playoffs. And they won't do that. It's just a bottom line organization where you're watching Paul Skeens, and he will be wasted until he gets traded at the last moment. It's a shame because you could have a playoff contending team here. But the Pirates use that thing, Joe. It's like once every 15 years, we'll hope for the perfect storm with lightning in a bottle. Then we'll try to rebuild it again. Enough, man. In this day and age, with the prospects that you can certainly have by stinking every year and top flight talent like you see in Paul Skeens, it's just a shame, and it gets on my nerves. Like, for me being a Phillies fan, I think it's hilarious. Like, I never want Pittsburgh to be good. Why? Not because it's a rivalry. That's just a team you don't have to worry about in the playoffs, and your team can make the playoffs. But the fans of Pittsburgh deserve so much better, and they're just not getting it right now. Now, you might say the fans of the New York Mets deserve so better because that team is a high payroll, and that team sometimes can't get out of its own way. They lost yesterday to the Atlanta Braves 4-3. They now drop a touchdown back of the Philadelphia Phillies in the win column. Now you take a look at them playing the Phillies this week. Something just isn't right with the Mets lately, and we can't put our finger on it, Joe. Can you?
Yeah, the pitching blows. I mean, your starting pitching blows. Your bullpen is awful. And listen, they've had to go through a ton of injuries this year, and I get it. But that was never going to be a starting rotation in which we were all like, whoa, Look out. Yeah, no. They're not going to look out. They allowed 2 quick runs. They left 1 million guys on base yesterday, and they made Bryce Elder look like a Cy Young Award winner when everybody else usually scores enough runs off him to win the game by the 3rd inning. And the Mets couldn't do it. And you just allowed that Atlanta team to hang around the game until eventually the pitching of the Mets let them down, and they eventually lost the game. It was rinse and repeat again yesterday. This is not a championship team, and I don't care how much money they spend. That's not what you've got there with the New York Mets.
Yeah, I got tortured a little bit in this game, Joe, because that over team total 4.5 for the Mets. They get the 2-run home run in the 2nd inning, and then you're right. You look at the final statistics. 1 of 9 with runners in scoring position and left 10 men on base, which included the 9th inning, where you got the 4-3 game, runners on first and second base in the middle of that lineup. Pete Alonso was 0 for 5 yesterday. Couldn't come through. Tough scene for the Mets. They're going to take on Christopher Sanchez today. He ain't Bryce Elder, so good luck in that game today. We'll have a little bit more on that game later on. The Philadelphia Phillies did beat the Nationals yesterday 3-2. Also for me, burnt me a little bit. Like the Phillies had a high team total 5.5, but once again, the Phillies left 10 men on base, went 2 of 8 with runners in scoring position. One of those didn't even get a runner home, so really it was 1 of 8 with runners in scoring position with chances to score. But it was Ranger Suarez, Joe. 7 innings, 3 hits, no earned, 11 strikeouts. Back to form for Ranger, and they need that.
Especially coming off the news of Zach Wheeler on the weekend, when we learned of that on Saturday, Donnie, and then we saw Aaron Nola go out and look like Aaron Nola, right? Then we saw Ranger Suarez yesterday come out and look like Ranger Suarez. Now you got Christopher Sanchez. So, you know, it seems to terrible news about Wheeler, but everything else in that rotation seems to be coming together.
No, it certainly does. Giants beat the Brewers yesterday 4-3. The Mariners 11-4 over the Athletics. They really busted out against a decent pitcher and busted out early with Cal Raleigh with those 2 home runs, Joe. And then the Dodgers salvage a game just like the New York Yankees. Can't get swept by your rivalry here. They pick up that win 8-2. Let's talk about the Philadelphia Phillies and what that means for Zach Wheeler's surgery and the Phillies' postseason hopes. Next on the early line.
This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay. I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
They're saying that he might be back for the start of the playoffs, but their playoff spot isn't secure with the Mariners bearing down on them and the wild card completely in flux. So this is like borderline red alert because the pitching staff has not been good. We have not seen good stuff from Framber Valdez. So now that the back end of the bullpen is not good, I don't know what to make of it.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Answer is this. 12-team, 3 wide receiver, you take Jamar Chase. In a 10-team league, though, where you have only 2 wide receivers to start, it's an interesting supply and demand situation with a roster like that. That is where the Bijan #1 overall maybe comes into play, because you could take Bijan and then turn around. You're still getting 2 #1 wide receivers in a 10-team league draft.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
The young Goddard angle too had the added PR campaign of like, do you want to take a New York and or a Jersey guy to play a New York Ryder Cup? Like the crowd juice there is going to be off the charts.
They would love. They would kill for him.
Chris Goddard like making a big putt, like popping the chain to the Bethpage crowd. Are you kidding me? There's some of these guys I just want to pick them because I want the visual, I want the memory.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
National League, people, who's going to win it? We always thought it was going to be the Los Angeles Dodgers. Could it be the Padres now putting pressure on those Dodgers? Could it be the Philadelphia Phillies or the New York Mets? Or maybe those upstart Milwaukee Brewers having such a good season this year? If we look at the odds race, it is the Dodgers at a 2-1 price right now, plus 200. The Brewers at a plus 390, and the Philadelphia Phillies at a plus 430 price. Now, the reason you might ask, like, wait a second, the Phillies are playing good baseball, like, Joe. Why would they be dipping below the Brewers and losing ground on the Dodgers? It's simple. What makes the Phillies spectacular is their plethora of pitching that they have, and particularly playoff pitching. What I mean by that is, Joe, not let me give you 3 1/3 innings here, and then you go to the bullpen. It was, we have multiple pitchers that can pitch deep into the 7th inning, therefore saving our bullpen and using our biggest high-leverage arms in the best situations, not in the 5th inning to get out of a bases-loaded jam because our pitcher left us in a lurch at this point. That's the reason they're dropping back. Now, let me ask you this question, Joe, because that is a devastating blow for Zach Wheeler not to be there for the playoffs. One of the best pitchers in baseball, which would have went toe-to-toe with Paul Skeens down the stretch on who was going to win the Cy Young. He won't be here this year. They're worried about next year here, but I'm worried about the Philadelphia Phillies and where they sit. You see Zach Wheeler, 10-5 on the season, a 2.71 ERA, 195 strikeouts, and this was for the final 2 to 3 weeks, Joe, pitching with shoulder injuries here and still managing to get through. He's not going to be there for the Phillies. Tell me the tale of the Phillies season and how it ends now, Joe.
It's, again, you can't replace a guy like Zach Wheeler in that rotation. I mean, he was your top. He was it. He was your ace, and he pitched like it. But unfortunately now, he kind of had to weather the storm while other guys needed to get right, including the Aaron Nolas of the world, including the Ranger Suarez. Thank God for Christopher Sanchez, who really, not that he came out of nowhere, but he really has elevated his game this season. Also, still have some question marks in that bullpen middle relief, but at least this has happened. Timing is everything, right? Never a good time to lose your ace in a season, but Aaron Nola, Sanchez, and Suarez should be more than capable with that veteran lineup to be able to have enough to make a run at this and the Dodgers here for the National League pennant.
I'll tell you what's crazy, too, is usually the good pitchers, you sign them the contracts, they're massive contracts. Like Nola got a big contract coming into the season. Zach Wheeler's got a big contract. We get that. Christopher Sanchez here makes $2 million this year. He's going to be a monster free agent. He just signed last year. 4 years, $22.5 million combined on that contract with team options that go to 29 and 2030 for a guy that could be one of the best pitchers in baseball. Now, here's the one thing I want to ask you, too, about Christopher Sanchez, because we talked he's now second in line with Paul Skeens to maybe overtake Paul Skeens if he has a dominant stretch and let's just say Paul Skeens gets hurt. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Skeens wins it. But from a Phillies perspective and from a baseball perspective, you never see baseball players hold out for more money. Wow, yes, I make $22 million is nothing to shake a stick at here because most people will never see that money in their lifetime. But a Major League Baseball pitcher who could be a top 5 pitcher in his league, I'm not going to get paid until 2030. And at that time, I'm going to be in my mid-30s and probably never cash in. If this is the NFL, Christopher Sanchez pitches the end of the year and goes, I'm not showing up to training camp next year, spring training at all.
Yeah, listen, he is doing exactly what he needs to do in a sport in which, what have you done for me lately? And that could get you that contract, Donnie. Well, you never have to worry about it again. I don't think Skeens has to throw another inning this year. And since the Cy Young is, don't forget, a popularity contest, there's no way Paul Skeens does not win this with his body of work already. He doesn't have to throw another inning as far as I'm concerned there. But it doesn't take away for Sanchez on what he has done this season and put himself in a spot, Donnie, because even if it's not the Phillies, somebody's going to write him a check based upon what he's done so far this year.
Yep, in 2030, the Phillies got him under control for 5 years at a few $1 million per year, which is insanity. And by the way, number 2 on my pitching card today, it is Christopher Sanchez. Who's the only guy better than him right now? Tarek Skubal on today's card. How about this? The Philadelphia Phillies and Kodai Senga going to go toe-to-toe, Sanchez and Senga. That's going to be in New York tonight. I think this is a light price. I do. I look at Kodai Senga, not very good analytical numbers over the past 60 days. Sanchez is very good. Price point only around a minus 130 right now as it's continuing to rise. Any quick thoughts between Sanchez and Senga, Phillies and the Mets tonight? Tangling.
So hard to trust the Mets, isn't it, Donnie, though? I mean, how do we trust the Mets I mean, you couldn't hit Bryce Elder. So now all of a sudden you're going to hit Sanchez. The Mets can't hit lefties, not especially good ones. Yeah, no, Philadelphia all day for me.
Total listed at 8 people. Hour number 2 is coming up next. Let's get the people caught up on all the hottest topics. What we do, it's the early line on the SportsGrid Network.